development education really took off in a big way back in 2006, 2007. And I think the effects of it are very, very obvious around the school from what I would regard as just basic thing we call atmosphere, the atmosphere in the school. And you might wonder how can you link that back to development education. But development education is all about thinking beyond yourself and thinking about others, whether it's the person beside you, the person in your own community or somebody in Africa or wherever. It's about thinking outside of yourself. And I think that kind of thinking does affect the overall atmosphere in the school, right down to respect for others, right down to your anti-bullying policy, right down to the whole engagement with the Green Schools project, the Green Schools philosophy. Again, all about living your life in a way that if it's going to affect others, it'll be positive rather than negative. I think students who have followed a development education course become more responsible people. And I've never worked on the basis that, say, education is something that the students have to do because there's an exam at the end of it or there's somebody standing over making them learn. I work on the basis of getting students to take responsibility for their own learning, because ultimately when they go on to third level, that's how they have to do it anyway. And I honestly feel there's too much spoon feeding in the secondary system. But going on from that, I think they also learn, the sacrifices that people make in developing world in relation to education and the value that education brings. And I think that also gives them that more solid foundation in relation to, the choices they make. They don't select subjects for senior cycle for flimsy reasons or spurious reasons. They actually put a lot more thought into it. There's just a greater level of responsibility in A, the selection of the subjects, and B, then their application to actually following through on them so that they achieve the level they're capable of achieving in it. So I do believe that the development education makes them simply more responsible citizens and more responsible people.
Development education gives our students a certain empathy perhaps that they wouldn't otherwise have. And we have seen it in relation to respect for their peers, for their colleagues, for their teachers, and indeed we hope at home as well. But it certainly gives them a greater tolerance of how other people feel in certain situations. And we hope that that will be a life skill that will be long-lasting for them.
Around the school, and certainly over the last couple of years, there's been a number of things reported to me that would indicate to me that development education is becoming a real central feature in the school. It's part of the school now rather than some sort of subject. And I'll give you a few examples. The teacher coordinating the Green Schools project in the school tells me that, she was at some course recently where there were schools that had some sort of inbuilt rewards, like, they were all brought to the cinema at the end of a time period if they adhered to the principles of the Green Schools. And she was kind of joking with me about this because she felt that our students, the reward is inherent. They simply feel that, this is a good thing to do and it brings its own reward. And when she discussed this with them, having come back from the course, they did mention to her that, they felt like this. They weren't quite sure it was as a result of education, but a few of them mentioned the development education as something that had an effect on them and perhaps did shape the way they were responding to this. The uptake in relation to debating, and particularly topics that relate to, let's say, the concern debates or any issues around developing world, there's a big interest in that, and the teacher looking after that for the last number of years tells me that the guys are coming now with a much more informed opinion, really, rather than having to be sort of trained from the ground up in the issues. They're coming, well versed in the issues, and really her role is around kind of shaping the language and the presentation of it. But they have all the issues there. Last 2 years ago, we were very successful in the Trinity debates on science issues. Again, the teacher would have reported to me that team was 100% students who had done a development education, and sure, really the issues they were debating were the issues that they were actually dealing with in the class on development education.
Development education certainly gives young people a sense of their own place in the world. I have seen it firsthand with the Poverty Week that was held in the school with our YSI students last year. They really put themselves into the shoes of the young people in less fortunate environs, and they really felt the pain and the anguish and the suffering of those young people who live in other parts of the world in less fortunate areas than our young students.
I have found year after year after year, the guys who achieve academically very highly have always been highly involved and actively involved in other projects. So people coming in to deal with development education issues like visitors to the school. Again, I think that's very, very educationally sound that they come in, that people are meeting people from other countries with other issues, other policies, other politics, other whatever. That's all very, very educationally sound. And any little bit of disruption in relation to trying to empty out a hallway or a hall to get, to facilitate a group meeting and moving or shifting other teachers and classes around to facilitate that, that's done willingly in the school, has never been an issue, has never been raised as an issue by any teacher in the school or indeed by any student. I see it as part and parcel of the education process, and it happens in real life. Why not happen in school? I suppose the effects of the development education has come about as a result of, first of all, the formal course that's imparted to the transition years inside in the classroom. But then outside of that, they have numerous visitors, numerous workshops where they work together themselves, but also with at least groups or clusters of 3 and 4 different schools. And simply by exchanging ideas and exploring their own thoughts and becoming comfortable with who they are and why they think like they do, I think all of that helps them to if you like, react and act in a way that just makes the whole school community and school environment a happier place and a nicer place to be.